The wail of sirens cuts through the morning quiet of a modest Vancouver neighborhood. Red and blue lights paint the frost-covered townhouses in haunting colors as paramedics wheel out a covered gurney. Yellow police tape flutters in the cold April wind, and neighbors huddle in their bathrobes, whispering in multiple languages. Detective Sarah Chan, a 20-year veteran with tired eyes, stands in the doorway holding a clear evidence bag. Inside, a handwritten note on floral stationery catches the morning light. Her partner, Detective Mike Rodriguez, emerges from the apartment, shaking his head. "What do you think?" Rodriguez asks, pulling off his latex gloves. 43-year-old married woman, dead in her 24-year-old lover's apartment. Chun replies, studying the note through the plastic. Suicide note in her own handwriting. Should be straightforward. But Chen's instincts, honed by 2 decades of investigating human tragedy, whisper that nothing about this scene feels straightforward. When Rebecca Bennett's body was found in her young lover's apartment, the suicide note seemed to explain everything. But what police discovered in the next 3 weeks would expose a web of lies, blackmail, and revenge that destroyed 2 families. Before we go deeper into this case, if you appreciate true crime stories that go beyond the headlines to explore the human truth behind tragedy, subscribe to Crime Canvas. We bring you real stories with respect, depth, and the commitment to understanding how ordinary lives can take extraordinary turns. The real estate office feels like a morgue. Empty desks stretch across beige carpet, and a whiteboard shows declining sales numbers in red marker. Rebecca sits at her corner desk, staring at her computer screen, where property listings mock her with their lack of interest. At 43, she's gained 30 pounds since her wedding photo, and her once bright smile has faded into something mechanical, performed for clients who increasingly choose younger agents. Her phone buzzes with a text from her husband, Daniel. "Got the job. Start Monday. Things looking up finally." The Bennett family looked successful from the outside. Nice townhouse, well-dressed kids. But the house was mortgaged to 95%. Credit cards were maxed, and Daniel's 6-month unemployment had pushed them to the edge of bankruptcy. They were maintaining appearances while drowning financially. $8,000 behind on the mortgage, teenage kids' activities paid by grandparents, and a marriage that had become more like a business partnership focused on survival rather than love. That evening at the grocery store checkout, Rebecca overhears 2 teenage cashiers gossiping. "See that lady in line 3? The first one whispers. "My mom's age probably. So desperate and sad looking." "That desperate old lady," the second replies with a cruel laugh. "Yeah, I feel bad for women like that. Life's basically over at 40. Something breaks inside Rebecca's chest. That night, sitting in her car in the grocery store parking lot, she downloads Instagram and creates a new account. She uploads a carefully cropped photo from 5 years ago, shaving 14 years off her age with a few strategic lies. Just a small lie to seem more appealing, she tells herself. What harm could it do? Meanwhile, the Uber dashboard glows as Naveen finishes his 12th hour behind the wheel. His neck aches, his eyes burn, and he has 3 more hours of food delivery ahead of him. At 24, he should be designing software or building bridges, but his engineering degree from Delhi University is apparently worthless in Canada. His basement apartment houses 3 Indian immigrants in a space meant for 1. Naveen sleeps on a mattress on the floor, surrounded by rejection letters from companies that won't even interview him. His work permit expires in 4 months, and without permanent residency, he'll have to return to India. A failure who wasted his family's life savings. His phone shows 17 missed calls from his mother in Delhi. When he finally calls back, her voice is weak with exhaustion. "Beta, your father feels guilty every day that you're working so hard there. We never wanted you to suffer for our dreams," she says softly. "Son, if this is too difficult, come home." His father adds in the background, "Our honor isn't worth your happiness." Naveen closes his eyes, calculating. $800 a month to his family leaves him surviving on instant noodles and hope. He posts motivational content on Instagram that gets 3 or 4 likes, mostly from other struggling immigrants. "I'm going to make it work, Papa," he whispers into the phone. I promise everything will be okay. But promises feel hollow when you're 24, brilliant, and completely invisible. Naveen's phone buzzes with a notification that changes everything. A message from an attractive woman with kind eyes and a genuine smile. Love your positive attitude. Need more people like you in Canada. He stares at the message for 10 minutes. Canadian woman, successful, beautiful, interested in him. He crafts a careful response, pouring his gratitude and dreams into words that reveal more vulnerability than wisdom. The response comes quickly, then another, then daily messages that become phone conversations stretching into 3 hours. She asks about his family, his dreams, his immigration status. She shares stories about her divorce, her loneliness, her belief that he deserves better than his current struggles. Neither mentions the lies they're both telling. She doesn't mention being married with teenagers. He doesn't mention being a virgin who's never had a girlfriend. Both are drowning in their separate desperation, reaching for each other like lifelines that might save them or pull them both under. Rebecca arrives first at the coffee shop, her hands shaking as she orders coffee she won't drink. When Naveen walks through the door, her breath catches. He's beautiful, tall, lean, with intelligent eyes and the kind of smile that makes her remember what it felt like to be desired. Naveen stops dead when he sees her. She's older than her photo suggested, but there's something magnetic about her confidence, her obvious success, the way she looks at him like he matters. I'm 34. She lies easily, extending her hand. Recently divorced, no kids. Just focusing on my real estate career and meeting genuine people. I'm doing well with my consulting work. He lies back, shaking her soft hand. Business is growing. Immigration process going smoothly. They sit across from each other. Two desperate people performing success, neither realizing they're both drowning. The transformation begins immediately. 3 days after their coffee meeting, Rebecca texts Naveen. Pick you up at 7. We're something nice. You deserve to be treated properly. The restaurant is upscale Italian, the kind of place Naveen has only glimpsed through windows during his Uber shifts. Rebecca orders wine confidently, insists he try the lobster ravioli, pays the $180 bill without blinking. This is too much, Naveen protests, overwhelmed by her generosity. You work harder than anyone I know, Rebecca replies, reaching across to squeeze his hand. When's the last time someone celebrated you? The answer is never, and they both know it. 2 weeks later, she arrives at his apartment with shopping bags. Early Christmas, she says, pulling out a wool coat that costs more than his monthly rent. You can't build a consulting business looking like you're struggling. Naveen stares at the coat. Charcoal gray, perfectly tailored, the kind successful men wear. When he puts it on, he sees a different version of himself in the mirror. Someone who belongs. I can't accept this, he whispers. You're not accepting charity, Rebecca says firmly. You're accepting investment from someone who believes in your potential. There's a difference. She becomes his personal cheerleader, texting motivation throughout his long Uber shifts. When Naveen mentions cultural celebrations at the temple, Rebecca surprises him by asking to attend. She wears a borrowed outfit, lets aunties apply henna to her hands, poses for photos with genuine seeming delight. His community friends are impressed. A successful Canadian woman who respects their culture. She's good for you, his roommate observes. More confident since you met her. But the roommate notices other changes too. Naveen spends less time with them, skips their weekly gatherings, screens their calls when Rebecca visits. The isolation happens gradually, almost imperceptibly. The call comes at 3 in the morning. Naveen's voice breaks as he explains to Rebecca. His mother collapsed. Emergency surgery needed. $12,000 for private hospital care. The public hospital wait list is 3 months. He sobs. She'll die waiting. Give me the hospital details, Rebecca says without hesitation. I can't ask you for. You're not asking. I'm offering. Within 2 hours, the money is wired to the hospital in Delhi. Naveen's mother goes into surgery that afternoon. The operation saves her life. I'll pay you back, Naveen promises through tears of gratitude. Every penny with interest. Family is everything, Rebecca replies, holding him as he cries. You'd do the same for me. The emotional debt settles around Naveen like chains made of gratitude. How do you repay someone who saved your mother's life? How do you question the motives of your angel? I've been thinking, Rebecca says over dinner at their usual restaurant. Your engineering skills, my business connections. We should start a consulting firm together. Naveen nearly chokes on his wine. I don't have capital for. I'll handle the investment. You bring the expertise. She slides a folder across the table. I had my family lawyer draw up partnership papers. 50-50 ownership, but I'll cover startup costs. The documents are impressive. Official letterhead, complex legal language, multiple signatures required. Something felt wrong about the partnership documents, but Rebecca had saved his mother's life. How could he question someone who'd shown such kindness? What Naveen doesn't notice in the dense legal text is that while ownership appears equal, voting rights give Rebecca controlling interest. The joint bank account requires both signatures for major withdrawals, but Naveen is listed as primary account holder for tax purposes. This is incredible. He breathes, signing page after page. You believe in me more than I believe in myself. That's what partners do. Rebecca smiles, watching him sign away his financial independence. Naveen's roommate is using his laptop to check sports scores when social media auto-suggests friends based on recent searches. A profile appears that makes his blood freeze. Rebecca Bennett, 43, married to Daniel Bennett, mother to Emma and Lucas. The profile photo shows the same woman who's been dating his roommate for months, but older, surrounded by teenage children, wearing a wedding ring in photos dated just weeks ago. Naveen, the roommate calls out, his voice tight with concern. You need to see this. When Naveen looks at the screen, his world begins to collapse. The woman he loves, the mother of his child, the partner in his business. She's been living a complete lie. The profile shows everything. Rebecca Bennett, 43, married to Daniel Bennett for 18 years. Mother to Emma, 16, and Lucas, 14. The photos are devastating. Family Christmas morning just months ago, showing Rebecca in a festive sweater, arms around teenagers who look nothing like the childless divorcee she claimed to be. I'm sorry, his roommate says gently. She's been lying about everything. Naveen stares at the birth date. She's 43, not 34, older than his own mother back in Delhi. The woman carrying his baby has teenage children nearly his own age. The business account, Naveen whispers, pieces clicking together. She's been moving money through it, hiding it from her husband. Recent bank statements show transfers that make no sense. Money flowing in and out of their consulting account with no corresponding business activity. She's been using their partnership as her personal money laundering operation. His phone buzzes with a text from Rebecca. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Our baby is so lucky to have you. The endearment that once thrilled him now feels like mockery. Everything, every kiss, every declaration of love, every moment of intimacy, built on lies so comprehensive they constitute a different person entirely. Naveen arrives early at their office, printing every screenshot, every bank record, every piece of evidence of her deception. When Rebecca walks in carrying coffee and wearing the fake smile he now recognizes as performance, the papers are spread across their table like an accusation. What's this? She asks, but her face has already gone pale. Rebecca Bennett, Naveen says quietly, married 18 years, 2 teenage children, 43 years old, never divorced, never childless, never 34. Rebecca sinks into her chair, the coffee cup trembling in her hands. I can explain. Whose baby are you carrying? The question cuts through her attempted justification. The silence stretches between them like a chasm. Finally, she whispers, I don't know. You don't know? Naveen's voice cracks with disbelief. It could be yours or Daniel's. The timing. She can't finish the sentence. Your husband who doesn't know about us, who you never planned to divorce, who you've been stealing from through our business account. I was drowning in my real life. Rebecca explodes, desperation making her voice shrill. Invisible, ignored, middle-aged and forgotten. You made me feel alive again. So you destroyed mine instead. Here's what's going to happen. Naveen says, his voice steady despite his trembling hands. You're going to publicly confess. Dissolve our partnership. Return every penny you've hidden. And stay away from me forever. Rebecca's desperation transforms into something harder, more dangerous. You have no idea what you're playing with, Naveen. My husband has connections. He could make your immigration status disappear overnight. You're threatening me? I'm protecting both of us. If Daniel finds out about us, he'll destroy you just to hurt me. And if immigration authorities think you married me for status, she lets the threat hang. I have recordings of you discussing it, photos of us together, evidence of financial entanglement that looks exactly like marriage fraud. Naveen feels the trap closing around him. You recorded us? Our intimate moments. Yes. Insurance. Her smile is cruel now, the mask completely dropped. Try to expose me and those videos end up on every social media platform your precious community uses. How will your family in Delhi react to seeing their son in compromising positions with a married Canadian woman? Naveen sits in his basement apartment at 2 a.m, surrounded by printed evidence and his roommates who have become his support system. His phone holds months of conversations with Rebecca. Every lie, every manipulation, every threat. She wants to destroy me through the system, he says quietly. Fine. Let's see how she handles the court of public opinion. He opens social media and begins uploading. Not just screenshots, but screen recordings of their entire conversation history, complete with timestamps. The first video opens with her initial message, then shows the systematic progression of her targeting. This is how a Canadian woman hunted and trapped a vulnerable immigrant, his caption reads. The first video got 500 views overnight, mostly from the Indian community in Vancouver. By day 2, immigration advocacy groups were sharing it. Day 3 brought mainstream attention when local news ran a segment titled, Social Media Exposes Alleged Immigration Exploitation. By day 4, the hashtag was trending nationwide. The comments explode with support from other immigrants sharing similar exploitation stories. Canadian viewers express outrage at Rebecca's predatory behavior. She researched you like prey. One comment reads, This wasn't love. This was hunting. The story spreads across platforms, each platform adding new evidence and voices. The Indian-Canadian community rallies around Naveen like a protective wall. Community leaders issue statements. Immigration lawyers offer help, and donation funds appear to cover his legal costs. Daniel Bennett discovers his wife's double life not through detective work, but through his teenage daughter showing him viral videos. Dad, Emma says, her voice shaking. Is this Mom? The evidence is overwhelming. Screenshots show Rebecca's fake profiles. Hotel receipts match her unexplained absences. Bank records reveal financial manipulation through accounts Daniel never knew existed. His rage is volcanic. 18 years of marriage and you were running a scheme behind my back? It wasn't supposed to go this far, Rebecca pleads. I was just having a midlife crisis. A midlife crisis that involves stealing $12,000 and getting pregnant by someone young enough to be our son? 14-year-old Lucas listens from the hallway as his parents scream accusations that destroy everything he thought he knew about his family. The house becomes a battlefield where every conversation is an explosion waiting to happen. By afternoon, Daniel has filed for divorce and full custody. By evening, neighbors gather on their driveways watching police cars arrive for the third time in 2 days as domestic disputes escalate into public spectacles. Detective Chun reviews the evidence carefully. Police found multiple notes in Rebecca's car during the investigation, all written over the past week. Each showed different levels of desperation, different plans for escape. The final handwritten notebook found in her car contained detailed plans written in her handwriting. Final meeting. Wear long sleeves. Arrive 8 when neighbors are home to hear screaming. Leave phone recording for evidence. Hospital photos by 9:30. Assault charges filed by midnight. The plan was meticulous. Fake her own assault. Frame Naveen for domestic violence. Ensure his deportation through criminal charges. But there's one more page. A text message Naveen received that evening. We need to end this. Meet me at your apartment 8 o'clock. Come alone. Last chance to settle this quietly. He knew it was a trap, Chin explains to her partner. But he went anyway, secretly recording everything on his phone. The building feels unnaturally quiet as Naveen waits in his basement apartment. His roommates left for the weekend, and most neighbors are at evening prayers. The silence amplifies every creak, every distant sound from the street above. Rebecca arrives disheveled, her usually perfect appearance cracked like a facade finally crumbling. Her designer purse seems heavier than usual, and her eyes dart around the apartment as if memorizing details for later testimony. $50,000, she says without preamble, settling into the chair across from his small dining table. Wire transfer tonight and I disappear forever. I don't have $50,000, Naveen replies, his phone already recording from his pocket. You destroyed my business, froze my accounts, ruined my reputation. Where exactly would I get that money? Sell something. Borrow from your community. I don't care how you get it. I just need it. And if I don't pay, then you'll face assault charges, immigration fraud allegations, and deportation. Your choice. Both their phones are secretly recording the conversation. Her gathering evidence of extortion demands, him documenting her threats. Neither realizes the other's digital strategy. Before I agree to anything, Naveen says carefully, I need to know whose baby you're really carrying. The question hits like a physical blow. Rebecca's composed mask slips completely. It's Daniel's, she admits, the lie finally too heavy to carry. The timing proves it. I was trying to reconcile with my husband in early January when I got pregnant. So everything about us, about the baby being mine, a lie. All of it. Her voice turns cruel, freed by confession. You were never anything but entertainment to me, Naveen. A way to feel young and desired again. You were just available. The words hit harder than any physical blow. The age lies, the marriage lies, using my mother's emergency. I researched you, your visa status, your family's financial situation. You were perfect, desperate enough to believe anything, isolated enough that no one would question our relationship. Each word is a knife. You think I randomly fell for some immigrant delivery driver? I targeted you specifically because you were vulnerable. Of course I did. You were convenient, grateful, easy to control. You realize I'm recording this? Naveen says quietly. So am I, she replies, pulling out her phone. But who do you think the authorities will believe? The young immigrant with everything to gain? Or the Canadian woman being extorted? The realization that they're both recording each other changes the dynamic instantly. Rebecca lunges across the table, grabbing for Naveen's phone with desperate strength. Give me that device, she screams, her fingernails scratching his wrists as they struggle. Naveen jerks backward, trying to protect the evidence that could save his life. The chair topples, sending both of them stumbling toward the kitchen area. You're not going to destroy me, Rebecca shouts, swinging her heavy purse like a weapon. The struggle moves chaotically through the small space. Furniture overturns, dishes crash from counters, and both phones skitter across the floor. The recordings become fragmentary, clear sections mixed with muffled chaos. But the crucial confession about targeting him deliberately was crystal clear in the audio made before the fight began. Naveen, younger and stronger, tries to restrain her without causing harm. But Rebecca fights with the fury of someone with nothing left to lose. She claws at his face, kicks at his shins, screams threats and accusations that echo through the thin walls. During the struggle, Rebecca slips on the scattered phones, her feet tangling as she lunges forward. She falls hard, the back of her head striking the sharp corner of the coffee table with a sickening crack. The sound stops everything. Sudden, terrible silence fills the apartment. Naveen kneels beside her motionless form, checking for pulse, calling her name. but Rebecca Bennett's eyes stare sightlessly at the ceiling, and blood pools beneath her head on the worn carpet. In the aftermath, as Naveen calls emergency services with shaking hands, he notices Rebecca's purse has spilled open. Among the contents, makeup, wallet, breath mints, 3 folded pieces of floral stationery catch his attention. The handwritten notes, all dated over the past week, contain Rebecca's confessions in her own words. The final note from that morning reads, "I have destroyed 2 families through my selfish actions. I targeted Naveen because he was vulnerable, manipulated his trust, and used his desperation for belonging against him. The baby I carry is my husband's, not his. I created fake identities, stole money, and planned to frame an innocent man for crimes he never committed. My children deserve better than a mother who became a predator. Daniel deserves better than a wife who betrayed everything we built. And Naveen deserves justice. I cannot live with what I have become. This is my choice, my responsibility, my ending." The notes were her insurance policy. If her plan to frame Naveen failed, she was prepared for multiple outcomes, including the possibility that her confrontation might turn violent. But fate intervened before she could execute either option. When police arrive, they find Naveen sitting beside Rebecca's body. Both phones scattered on the floor. The suicide notes spread on the table like evidence of a conscience finally awakened. The evidence confirms accidental death during struggle, not intentional violence. The investigation takes 3 weeks. Detective Chen's preliminary report clears Naveen within days, but the formal conclusion requires extensive analysis of digital evidence, financial records, and witness testimonies. Detective Chen reviews the recordings. Hours of audio capturing Rebecca's systematic confession to manipulation, fraud, and planned destruction. The evidence is overwhelming and conclusive, Chen determines. Self-defense during attempted destruction of evidence. No charges will be filed. Additionally, we're documenting charges against Mrs. Bennett for filing false police reports and conspiracy to commit immigration fraud. Immigration Canada, reviewing the case files, extends Naveen's work permit for 2 years as a crime victim, expediting his permanent residency application. The community that rallied around him celebrates not just his vindication, but his survival. 8 months later, Naveen's permanent residency application is approved. He works as a software engineer for a Vancouver company that hired him during his legal battle, a firm that saw his character through the scandal. His mother visits from Delhi, her health restored, proud of a son who survived betrayal with integrity intact. Justice was served, but the costs lingered. Naveen found work and security, but therapy helped him process the betrayal and ongoing trauma from the manipulation. Some community members remained suspicious initially, though support grew as the full evidence emerged. Daniel Bennett remarried within a year and moved with his children, seeking distance from the scandal. Emma and Lucas faced years of counseling, struggling with their mother's legacy. Recovery was possible for the family, but healing took time. The Indian-Canadian community established a foundation, resources helping vulnerable immigrants avoid exploitation. Rebecca's predatory scheme inadvertently created the support system that could have saved her victims. Some legal issues remained unresolved, and the psychological scars took years to heal. But sometimes justice emerges from tragedy, and truth survives even when those who wielded it as a weapon do not. In the digital age, everyone leaves traces. Rebecca Bennett thought she could exploit a vulnerable immigrant's desperation for love and belonging. Instead, her own recordings became evidence of the manipulation that destroyed 2 families. For Naveen, survival meant fighting back with truth, even when that truth came at the ultimate cost. The townhouse in Vancouver stands as a reminder that dreams can become nightmares when desperation meets predation. But sometimes justice emerges from tragedy, and truth survives even when those who wielded it as a weapon do not. If this story moved you, if it made you think about the vulnerability of those seeking a better life, or the darkness that can hide behind everyday faces, then subscribe to Crime Canvas. We tell these stories not to sensationalize tragedy, but to honor the survivors, to learn from the warning signs, and to remind ourselves that behind every headline is a human story worth understanding. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay aware, and remember that the truth, no matter how painful, is always worth fighting for.